report from the United Way of New York City is shining a light on just how hard it is to financially make ends meet. The report is called The True Cost of Living and shows half of all families in New York City lack enough income to survive without assistance from either the government, family, or community. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo live in Lower Manhattan with more. Anthony.
Oh, Dave, Lauren, this is sort of one of those stories where the teacher goes and asks a classroom who's affected by this issue, and the entire class raises their hand. I spoke to a woman, mother from Brooklyn, says she pays nearly $2,700 a month in child care. Couple that with rent and everything else, and it's just staggering and sobering news for New York City. As you mentioned, according to this True Cost of Living report by United Way of New York City, costs have increased 131% in the city, while median earnings have increased just 71%. 36% of households lacked enough income for basic necessities in 2021. While the latest findings now show 50% of working-age New Yorkers are struggling to cover costs, and roughly 3 million New Yorkers struggle to afford healthy food. Policy recommendations put forth today at City Hall include supporting the Just Pay campaign to increase wages for human service workers, supporting the Community Land Act to enhance housing affordability, improving public housing and child care subsidy programs. Child care is a big one, and improving access to preventative health services to decrease future costs. Now, this report shows the true cost of living is most expensive in Lower Manhattan at nearly $8,000 a month. The least expensive, the Bronx. But an adult and 2 school-age children there are still needing close to $5 grand a month to survive. According to a recent New York Times story, only half of more than 6,000 New Yorkers surveyed plan to stay here.
Families are finding that between housing, between childcare, transportation, it is almost impossible. And what we know from every news report that we've seen is that families are voting with their feet. The middle class is leaving the city of New York because they're paying more for childcare than they are for rent.
Being over $2,000 for like a small 1-bedroom, groceries being like $300 when you go to Costco. Average, and then student loans. How are we supposed to afford anything in New York?
And that is that mother right there from Brooklyn. I told you she pays nearly $2,700 a month in child care alone. Coalition that met here at City Hall today, they have basically put the blueprint in lawmakers' hands so that changes could be made at the city, state, and federal level to help this problem. But they say it's equally important that private sector employees close the gap between wages and what it costs to live in New York City.